Spring Lake Park Panthers look to break a 4-game losing streak against the Orioles and book a date in the section final against top-ranked Park Center. Hello again, everybody. I'm Bill, up alongside Nick Walsh. And Nick, Spring Lake Park started the season 4-0, then lost 12 of 13. Now they've rattled off 4 wins in 6 games. How have they gotten back to their winning ways?
Yeah, this is a team that struggled throughout the middle part of the season. Not your typical Grant Guzzi team, but they have been able to find their rhythm here late in the season as we take a look at the Section 5 Class 4A bracket, and they're finding their stride at the right time. Able to knock off Maple Grove 74-68. They were to get their offense going, which is going to be important for them. They've got 2 main scorers in this lineup, which we'll talk about later, but they're going to need some help from a 3rd or 4th option if they're going to win tonight.
Yep, no question. And meanwhile, Osseo, you look at the Orioles lineup, and they're pretty balanced throughout.
Yeah, 4 different players averaging in double figures. So whereas Spring Lake Park, they have 2 main scorers that can get up and down the court, Peyton Thompson and Logan Kinsey. There are 4 different scoring options that average in double figures or more for Osseo. A much more balanced offense, and that allows them to maybe have a player that's not having the top night and still compensate and get a victory.
Yep, no question, and it's going to be tough to win on this home court. As we said, the Orioles have won 4 straight over the Panthers. There you look at Peyton Thompson. He comes in, one of the 2 big guns for the Panthers. Thompson, a 6'2" guard, averaging 19.4 points a game. He had 24 in the game last week, including 20 in the second half, and he's had big games this year against Osseo.
Yeah, no, he's been solid all season long. You look at those statistics, almost 500 points in the season, almost 20 points a game. And then you talk about the other option, Logan Kinsey out there as well, 19.5 points per game. There you see Logan Kinsey averaging a double-double, 19.5 points, 10.3 rebounds per game. Those are really great options for Spring Lake Park. If they can find a 3rd option who can balance those players out, they have a chance tonight to defeat Osseo.
Meanwhile, Tyrese Waits, the leader for this Orioles team, the senior guard bound for UW Stout next year. He leads the team at a shade over 15 points a game.
Yeah, he's been tremendous all season long, and Waits has been the leader of this team, but Bernard Amoria, Isaiah Johnson, and Lewis Carger, who is back tonight after playing only 10 games in the regular season. He's a 4th scoring option for this Osseo Oriole team. A very strong, balanced attack for the Orioles.
Well, it'll be a tough task tonight for Spring Lake Park here on the road. We'll have the opening tip-off coming up next on North Metro TV.
We in Spring Lake Park believe in building a strong and safe community. Our city moves onward and upward while holding on to our traditions and roots. We maintain a small town feel even though we are nestled next to the big city. We believe in being good neighbors and building community with safe neighborhoods. And we believe in citizenry and promote being active both physically and socially. We in Spring Lake Park love to play and believe in having an abundance of parks, playgrounds, and green space so that everyone can take a moment to enjoy the natural beauty that surrounds us. We believe in educating our children well, so we use the most advanced tools of learning to ensure continued success and bright futures. We promote athletics to keep our children fit and healthy and build a sense of teamwork. We in Spring Lake Park believe in providing a good, stable home for industry and small business to thrive. We have a large variety of successful businesses that have found continued success and benefit from excellent visibility off Highway 65. And a large customer base, as we are located only 15 minutes outside of downtown Minneapolis. Come visit us in Spring Lake Park, and you will see why we believe our city is one of a kind.
Bill Hupp alongside Nick Walsh as we get set to have 6-seeded Spring Lake Park take on the 2-seed Osseo. As we take a look at the starting lineups tonight, Spring Lake Park will go with their traditional starters of Logan Kinsey and Will Kinsey, Peyton Thompson, Nick Ogile, and Steve Kesty. Osseo, meanwhile, starts Bernard Amoria, Tyrese Waits, Isaiah Johnson, Trayton Smith, and Blessed Barhaga. So it'll be an interesting matchup here tonight, and these two teams have met already twice this season, Nick. Osseo coming away with 12-point wins in each of them.
Yeah, they're very similar games in both. In the first game, 70-58 win here in Osseo. The second time around, 66-54. That was at Spring Lake Park. That was a game in which these two teams were tied at the half. So Spring Lake Park can certainly keep up with this Osseo team for a half. It's whether they can do so for an entire game. And as you look at Spring Lake Park, we talk about those long losing streaks. In those long losing streaks, they were scoring 40 and 50 points. When they are scoring in the 60s and the 70s, they are winning their games. So the key for Spring Lake Park, as I mentioned in the pregame, find that third option who can get the ball in the bucket.
Yeah, that's been a struggle all season. Sometimes it's Nick Ogile, as we join the third member of our crew tonight, Blythe Whaley.
Both these coaches before the game agreed that their last two matchups on paper were a lot closer than they looked. They said 12 points, but really at halftime it was a 2-point lead and tied at halftime in those two games. But talking with Coach Tyson before the game, he was telling me that their guys, they need to make sure they hone in on Logan Kinsey. He had 18 points in the first half the last time they matched up. So definitely it's going to take a team effort to hone in on him to not let that happen tonight. But also have confidence. They have won 11. They're 11-1 at home. So definitely next time they are going to have to look at that.
And we thank Blythe for joining us courtside tonight. As you see the results from the first two games that these two teams played, and pretty unusual to see Spring Lake Park held in the 50s. This is a team that averages in the 70s on the season, so certainly going to need a few extra guys like Stephen Kesty and perhaps Nick Ogile as Spring Lake Park wins the opening tap, and Peyton Thompson walks it across the timeline.
Man-to-man defense here for Osseo to start this one out.
Logan Kinsey on the right block. Kesty, a little jumper in the lane is good. Steve Kesty gets it going early for Spring Lake Park.
As we talked about, that's a good sign for Spring Lake Park. If they can get a Kesty going, he averages 6.3. He's the third leading scorer. If he can get going, that's a good sign.
West Barhaga scores on the other end as Tyrese Waits sprints it away, dribbled away from that double team, and found Barhaga underneath for two. They'll pick up full court. Thompson into the front court. It's the handoff back. Spring Lake Park in the white uniforms with the blue and red. Osseo in the black with the orange lettering and numerals. Kesty gives back and kicked out high for Ogile for three. In and out. And it's snatched down by Isaiah Johnson. The 6'5 sophomore pushes it into the front court and then pulls it back. Waits, crossover dribble, top of the key, pull up, no good. Spring Lake Park absolutely destroyed Maple Grove on the boards in the section quarterfinal. Hopefully they'll be able to do the same tonight. Long three dialed up for Thompson is good. Peyton Thompson capable of shooting from that range. And the 6'4 senior has his first points of the game.
Yeah, he had two big games against Osseo this year. 24 points in that first matchup, 31 in the second.
Underneath, Barhaga left alone, and he lays it in. So Spring Lake Park trying to jump the passing lanes, but it hasn't worked out so far. And now we've got a 5-second call and our first turnover of the game on the Panthers. They really struggled with turnovers against Maple Grove the other night, having 12 in the first half, and they commit their first one. They had 3 5-second calls, actually. So certainly something to focus on as Waits kicks it out. Three-pointer for Amorie, no good. It's all the way, the long rebound out to Waits. Johnson dials up the triple and hits. Isaiah Johnson with the three-pointer at 7-5 Orioles.
Good recovery there by Osseo after missing the first shot. They were able to get their own rebound. Offensive rebounds obviously key. The other thing you mentioned, turnovers in that loss for Spring Lake Park the second time around, 18 of them.
On the floor, and a timeout taken by Osseo after they stripped Peyton Thompson. So Orioles ball will keep it here. Spring Lake Park already with 2 turnovers. as the Orioles full court man-to-man pressure coming up spades.
Yeah, difficult full court press there for Osseo. And as we take a look here again, a chance there nicely done and well done by the player on the floor, getting his hands on there, getting the control of the basketball, and then able to call the timeout before Peyton Thompson was able to get his hands back in there and force a potential jump ball situation.
It almost looked like from the replay that he called timeout before he had possession of it, but they gave him the timeout, so.
I think he was calling it, and initially they didn't give the timeout until he did get the possession a little later on, about a half second to a second later. So good work by the officials as well.
Hand for Waits out of the timeout, and he dribbles to the top of the key. Man-to-man defense played by Spring Lake Park as well. They'll switch up top. They seem to want to trap that pass up top. That's a shot by Trayton Smith. It's knocked off of the Orioles and out of play. That's a beefy referee if I've ever seen one. That guy is, that's Ed Hockley-like.
Wouldn't want to mess with him.
No. Again, full court pressure. Gliski in the 5-second call. They get it in to Logan Kinsey, and they got to use their height. One thing that Maple Grove had success forcing turnovers late in the second half against the Panthers because they weren't cutting back to the ball hard enough. Little give and go for Kinsey, who pulls up, misses it, goes to get his own rebound, and Isaiah Johnson goes down hard on the floor. Kinsey will get whistled for the personal foul. First on Spring Lake Park and Logan Kinsey. And he just left that one short, tried to use the glass and then followed it up. No ill intent there. Waits. Amoria has it knocked out of bounds from behind, so it'll remain with Osseo.
Good active hands there by Kinsey. He already picked up the foul, so a little bit of a dangerous play early, but was able to get all ball.
Underneath, they catch him napping, and the lay-in's good for Isaiah Johnson. A well-designed out-of-bounds play, and the Orioles up by 4.
Yeah, really nice inbounds play. Of course, Tim Tyson, one of two really great coaches here in this matchup tonight, able to draw one up on the inbounds play.
Tyson has been with the Orioles for 20 years. Grant Guzzi for 30 years with Spring Lake Park. Long three, hard off the back iron. Waits pushes ahead. Lob for Johnson, who leaves it short. Panthers catch a break there. Thompson, little hesitation. Counted and a foul. He ran right into Barhaga, took the contact and got the bucket.
Really aggressive play there by Peyton Thompson, driving in. He knows there's going to be contact. Might have taken an extra step on his way, but the call will stand. The foul goes against Barhaga, his first of the night, and a chance to get within one here for Spring Lake Park.
That's what they call the old gather these days, Nick. As Thompson sinks the free throw. He only had 4 points in the first half of that game as a foul out high. I believe that's going to be on Nick Ogile, taking those football instincts to the basketball court. Already the second team foul on Spring Lake Park, but Thompson off to a better start tonight than he had against Maple Grove a couple days ago. Barhaga holds out top, wants some help from his guards. A lot of these guys quick off the dribble. Done for Johnson. Beautiful little pass. Johnson's already got 7. And a nice little look from Amoria.
Yeah, that was a nice play off the high post there by Barhaga. He set it up by coming out, able to make that pass inside, drawing the defense out, and then allowing his guards to do work inside.
And Johnson that time chose to dunk it, did not miss it. As Thompson waltzes his way to the cup and lays it in. Peyton Thompson, the early offensive star for SLP, he's got 8. Remember, he had 31 in the first matchup against Osseo, and he had 24 in the last game. Underneath for Johnson, and I'm not sure Grant Guzzi's taking a 20-second timeout. They may want to rethink this policy of doubling out high, because Osseo's just dribbling around it and finding open men underneath the hoop.
Yeah, that's just too easy going in. They're leaving players wide open under the basket, and under the basket's not a great place to leave people open, I'll tell you that. I don't know a whole lot about the ins and outs of basketball from a strategic standpoint, but I can tell you this. Don't leave the guy wide open underneath the basket.
Well, by my count, it's resulted in 8 points. 2 baskets for Johnson and 2 for Barhaga. Johnson already has 9 first-half points, but he's been the beneficiary, the 6'5" sophomore guard. 13 minutes to go first half. SLP keeping pace with Osseo through the offensive exploits of Peyton Thompson. So again, 31 in the first matchup, 24 in the second matchup, and he's got 8 here tonight already. Osseo gets it in, looking long for Logan Kinsey. Kinsey, fade away, tough shot, draws the foul, and he'll go shoot for 2.
It's a tough foul on Trayton Smith. He thought he was straight up on the play, but smart play by Logan Kinsey, drawing the contact and getting the foul on the baseball feed.
And I like that he just attacked instead of pulling it out. He knew he had the advantage.
Johnson might have thought that he was straight up, but that was definitely a foul there as well as Smith. He swatted at the ball, as the first one's up and good.
I feel like most players don't think they commit a foul. As Logan Kinsey leaves that one short, just 1 for 2. Memoria gets it ahead for Barhaga. This Osseo team very unselfish, shares the ball well. And a lot of their guards can create off the dribble. Memoria pulls up from the elbow, leaves that short. And you see Logan Kinsey rebounding, averaging a double-double this season. Bo Johnson into the game. He gets it on the right block. Thompson, between the legs dribble, pulls up mid-range and hits. Peyton Thompson continues his hot start. He's into double figures with 10 of Spring Lake Park's 13, and we're tied. Thompson goes for the steal on Memoria. Gets the pass back from Barhaga. Pulls up, long 3 from the right wing is good. Bernard Memoria gives Osseo the lead once more at 16 to 13, and meanwhile they force another 5-second call. Osseo just not decisive enough, and sometimes that can result from the players not cutting hard enough to back to the basketball.
Yeah, that's 3 turnovers now for Spring Lake Park already in the first 6 or so minutes here in the first half, and we'll continue to watch that, as that could be a pinch point for the Panthers.
Freddie Anthony into the game for the first time. 3 from the right wing is good for Bernard Memoria. He's got 6. 2 triples on 2 straight possessions, and Osseo all of a sudden has its largest lead of the game at 6.
Yeah, good quick pull there on the trigger finger there, up by Memoria.
Tough shot for Kinsey's no good. Bo Johnson tracks it down. Out top for Anthony. Long 3 for Thompson is short. Memoria snags down the rebound. Don't often see Bo Johnson in for Kesty. You don't often see those 2 on the court, and Johnson trying to stay out of foul trouble. Waits, backs down Anthony, count the basket, and he'll get a free throw. And that's just recognizing the size mismatch when you have it.
Well, and I'm really impressed at what Osseo's doing here. Is as we watch Barhaga, you can't see him because he's not in the screen. He's way out. They're drawing him way out, either on the top of the key, into the corner in that particular time. They're pulling him out, and that is drawing the defense, those post players, out of that area. And that's allowing these guards, just like what we saw from Waits, to drive in and, in this case, set up a 3-point play.
Yeah, they're kind of getting the big guys away from the basket and thus opening up lanes to drive.
Osseo on a 9-0 run currently.
Maybe make it 11-0. Waits slams it home. Tyrese Waits with 5 straight. Grant Guzzi wants a full timeout. Osseo on an 11-0 run to take a 24-13 lead. How have they done it, Nick?
Well, and we've talked about it. It's all the things that we've talked about. Pressure, forcing these turnovers. Now 4 turnovers for Spring Lake Park. Osseo has yet to commit a turnover. So that's opportunities for this Osseo team to set up that offense. And usually when there's a turnover, it sets up transition, which is also favoring this Osseo team. So right now, things are really going exactly the way that Tim Tyson wants them to go. The rebounding has been even up pretty much, but the turnovers right now and the ability in the half court for Osseo when they've been in the half court to do what they want, pull those defenders out from underneath the basket, and then off a turnover or in transition, they've been able to get those guards moving in space towards the bucket.
Yeah, turnovers leading to points as Logan Kinsey gets the inbound, and they'll have Ogile bring it up. And he hands it, stolen again by Waits. Tyrese Waits with his second straight dunk. It's a 13-0 Osseo run. Again, points off turnovers coming up big. Waits has just jumped the passing lane. He's had the last 7. Long 3 for Thompson, answers. Boy, SLP needing every basket for Peyton Thompson, who's already got 13. Everyone else has 3.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. Everything is kind of falling into the trajectory of what we talked about during the pregame. Last time these two teams played, only as there's going to be a foul up on top on Bo Johnson. Last time these two teams played, there was only 10 points total outside of the 2 players, Kinsey and Thompson. So they really, again, it's tough when they can isolate Osseo's defense on those 2 players all the time, as good as Kinsey and Thompson can be. And we're seeing Thompson be really good, but there's not much behind him right now.
On that last play, something that we've talked about is Johnson gets his hand in the passing lane and forces the deflection. But Johnson has a tendency to commit silly fouls in needless places, and he did on that hard show right there. Osseo not able to convert, however. It's 26-16. Kinsey plays catch with his brother Will, who turns and faces. Back out on high for Thompson. Where do they go for offense? Omoria nearly steals it from Thompson. He recovers it. And we've got a hand check out front. Probably the right call as Ty Swanson, the sophomore guard, whistled for that personal. A little bit too hand checky with Peyton Thompson.
Ty Swanson, the 6-foot sophomore guard, off the bench.
Not even that many players seem to look to shoot as Johnson catches it down low, and he's fouled from behind by Varhega. Because eventually they're going to start really keying in on Thompson, who is fielding Division 3 and 2 looks, is not committed anywhere, is kind of waiting to see how his senior season plays out. I think he's hoping to get a Division 2 scholarship offer as Johnson buries the first free throw.
Well, and as a result of the foul, Barhega's got 2 now, and so he's going to have to sit for a while. 9:07 remaining in the first half, and I think he's been the key to this Osseo offense so far, as he's been able to line the trajectory of the defense up throughout this first half, as the second free throw no good.
Logan Kinsey nearly steals it, recovered by Osseo. The Orioles pushing ahead. They got a lot of backups out there at the moment. And Swanson, one of them, he backs it out. Isaiah Johnson running right at Bo Johnson. Omoria gets it back off the Dukowitz screen. Omoria into the lane. Johnson drives baseline, acrobatic, and he draws the foul on Thompson. Thompson with a bit of good sportsmanship on Johnson, who he raked across the face. Isaiah Johnson I have for 9 points. They only have him for 6 up on the scoreboard. I have him for 9. But he has had quite a first half. The beneficiary of that drive and dump game that Osseo has had. Osseo has led by as many as 11, by as many as 13, I beg your pardon. They lead by 11 here as it's 28-17. Will Kinsey gets it across the timeline, hounded by Waits.
Ooh.
He'll dial up a right wing three off the catch. Johnson grabs the rebound. They have Thompson open at the top of the key, couldn't get it to him. He'll get it to Johnson on the block. He powers his way down low for a layup. Bo Johnson's got some nifty footwork, and if he can just learn to stay out of foul trouble, he could be a real contributor next year for Spring Lake Park.
Well, and that's good awareness by Johnson with Barhaga out.
Will Kinsey, oh no, they decide. I wasn't sure if they were going to call that a foul, but they called it a jump ball. It'll remain on this end with the Orioles with 8:02 to go first half. And I think that was absolutely the right call. Johnson backs down Kinsey, straight up and down. Waits. Smith gives for Omoria, who drains his third three in the first half.
He's been money out there in the first half. As you mentioned, 3 triples out there. And that makes it a 12-point lead once again.
12-point lead for the Orioles, who are in the bonus already. Where are the Panthers going to go for offense if Peyton Thompson's not scoring? Down low, Logan Kinsey, who's struggled to start. In and out. Following his rebound, he's just off to a tough night. He's playing hard and he's getting looks. They're just not going down.
And don't forget, both of these matchups were 12-point games. So to nobody's surprise, we land ourselves right now at a 12-point game.
Usually that's much later in the game, though, and Spring Lake Park hoping to claw it back. Waits, drops a couple defenders and somehow splits them and gets the layup. Tyrese Waits. And that's such balanced scoring. Omoria with 9, Waits with 9, Johnson with 10. They steal it. Back for Carger, and he leaves it short. Logan Kinsey comes back to take the rebound down. 6 turnover of the half. Will Kinsey between defenders draws the foul, and he'll go to the line. Been pretty frenetic pace back and forth here in this first half. As you see, Will Kinsey just splitting defenders. Trayton Smith, the 6'6" junior guard, picks up his second foul. Big ovation for Lewis Carger. And I believe I said Carger before, it was Nate Vincent. So Lewis Carger gets a big ovation from the Osseo student section. He's only played 10 games this year, missed most of the season due to injury.
Averaging 12.6 points per game, but only played in 10 games, as you mentioned, in the regular season. First time back in quite some time.
Vincent. Carger. 6'4" senior. Vincent tries his luck at a 3. That's off the mark. Kesty out-battled by Carger. Waits on the left wing. He attacks middle, spins in the lane and lays it in. Tyrese Waits. Very impressive looking move to make it the largest lead of the game. Now a potential steal here. Thompson left wing 3 is off the mark. Flying in for the rebound. It's tipped to Kesty, and then he has it ripped away by Waits. Tyrese Waits, hands back for Omoria. Waits drives baseline, loses it. Throws it off of Will Kinsey.
Really, really good play there. Really good play.
Largest lead of the game right now at 16 for Osseo. Panthers have to be careful. It's been a little while since they've scored. They're on something of a drought. Omoria backs it out, watched by Ogile. Probably likes this matchup. They're willing to run spread as Ogile comes out. Omoria has to feel like he has the quickness advantage in this matchup. Instead, he'll give to Waits. Tyrese Waits attacks downhill, wild shot, but he's fouled by Will Kinsey. Now, talking to the coaching staff before the game, they'll often stick Will Kinsey. Yeah, he may not average as much as his brother, but he often gets the toughest assignment defensively. So he contributes in his own way, and actually there's saying that wasn't a foul, just a turnover.
Oh, wow.
So Osseo fans don't like that, but Will Kinsey will jog it across the timeline.
Just the second turnover of the game for Osseo.
Kinsey powers his way to the basket, count it, and a foul. Will Kinsey showing good strength at 6'6" to muscle that one in, and he'll go trying to complete the three-point play.
It's going to go against Waits. His first foul. Tough play there, as you mentioned. Will Kinsey driving in as the senior able to get to the basket. And the three-point play opportunity coming up.
Kinsey completes the three-point play, cuts the lead to 13. As we have a timeout on the floor.
I did not see who called this timeout. I'm not sure. Looks like there's a conversation going on. This is more of a timeout for Tim Tyson to talk to the officials here than it is for him to speak with the team.
Yep. And we'll throw it down to Blythe courtside.
At a couple of these last timeouts, Coach Guzzi was telling these guys they got to make sure they're staying strong. You think about it, in a semifinal, everyone wants to move on to that section final. So he's talking about getting that arm bar up, just making sure you're holding your own as you go into that contact. And definitely, there's a lot of that so far, guys.
Yeah, no doubt about that. You got to be strong with the basketball. Now it's Spring Lake Park who is picking up full court, trying to trap the ball. Waits gets it ahead to Johnson, who hands underneath for Carger, and he slams it home. Lewis Carger, his first basket in quite some time. It's a 15-point Osseo lead.
And now a block underneath. There's Osseo with another chance.
Omoria into the front court. Again, the turnovers hurting Spring Lake Park because Osseo's converting those into points, and I suppose that was just beating the press on that last one. Waits gets a step on Will Kinsey. Kesty comes over. They thought he'd blocked it clean, but Tyrese Waits will go to the free throw line to shoot two.
Well, the foul goes against Kinsey, and that's his third foul. As we watch here, they're going to call, well, it looked like there were two players there, and Kinsey ended up getting the call. It looked like the player that the crowd closest to us was able to see. If we watch here, looking at 54, it looks like 54 gets the block. That's Kesty, but it's actually underneath Kinsey who had the contact.
Indeed it is. Largest lead of the game now, 17, as Waits hits two free throws. He's up to 13 for the first half. We spotlighted him in the pregame, and there's a reason why. Will Kinsey lowers his shoulder, goes right through Omoria, and gets the layup.
Now, Will Kinsey with 5 points in the first half. A nice scoring option here for Spring Lake Park. We talked about that. Thompson with 13 points. Logan Kinsey's only got 3 so far, so a nice third option here for Spring Lake Park.
Omoria wants a long three and hits. Bernard Omoria, his 4th triple of the first half.
And it seems like every time Spring Lake Park gets a bucket, it's answered with sometimes 2 and 3 for Osseo right now.
They nearly force another turnover. Peyton Thompson, Bernard Omoria commits the foul. Ultimately, he and Waits were converging on Peyton Thompson. Foul distribution right now. And they're both in the bonus as Thompson will walk. Spring Lake Park with 6 and Osseo with 7. So Thompson will walk to the other end to shoot the 1-and-1. 3:43 to go first half. An 18-point Osseo lead. Omoria with 12, Waits with 13. Thompson, the leading scorer for Spring Lake Park now with 14. And I believe he had 10 of the first 13 or 13 of the first 16
He
for
did, yeah.
Spring Lake Park, so he really started out the game hot. He's cooled off. But still very impressive first half as he's 3 for 3 from the foul stripe.
Yeah, Logan Kinsey got the first bucket of the game, but he's been very quiet as the second option. Just one other point here in this first half.
Waits, waiting for the Carger screen. Steady hands for Omoria. All the starters out there right now for Osseo. Smith leaves it short. Kesty grabs it for Spring Lake Park. Starters out there for both teams, in fact. Logan Kinsey. Now go back to Thompson. He splits defenders. Wild layup, and it works as almost an alley-oop for Logan Kinsey, who lays it in on the weak side. Cuts the lead to 14 with 3 minutes to go first half.
And if you're Spring Lake Park, you just want to maintain this. You want to get to within maybe 10 points at the half. You've got to find a way to slow this offense down. Osseo's on their way to potentially a 50-point half. You've got to shut them down defensively here these last 2:44.
Yeah, if you can trim it to single digits, I think you'll be feeling pretty good, considering that you haven't played your best in this first half. Trayton Smith from the corner, no good. Ultimately, Will Kinsey clears for Spring Lake Park. Thompson into the front court, somehow muscles that up. It's back tapped out to Isaiah Johnson. Johnson tries to go between defenders, and he'll go to the free throw line to shoot 2.
That's just being aggressive, going right at the defense. And so Isaiah Johnson going back to the line, a 2-shot foul here.
Johnson's got 11 of his own in the first half. He is a smooth-looking stroke, 6'5" sophomore. So with guys like him in the program, Osseo's not going away anytime soon. Johnson hits both from the free throw line, and Osseo's threatening to put up 50 in this first half. Thompson across the timeline, he's doubled, and it's knocked out of bounds by Johnson, so it'll remain with the Panthers.
That speed for Osseo still affecting Spring Lake Park. They just can't seem to get a good rhythm. You saw the one time Spring Lake Park put a full court press on. Osseo was easily able to beat that for an easy shot too. So speed is killing here on both sides for Spring Lake Park.
Thompson holds against Waits. Gets into the lane. No call as the shot is no good. Waits. Cross court for Omoria. He sets his feet and hits. Bernard Omoria, 5 3-pointers in this first half. He cannot miss from deep.
And that was set up by not a really good decision, and now another turnover. That's the 9th of the half for Spring Lake Park. Going back to that previous play, the drive in there, going against a triple team inside. That set up a fast break opportunity and set up Omoria for his 5th 3-point basket of the first half.
I think he's missed one. I think he's 5 of 6 from 3 in this first half. 15 points, all of them from beyond the arc. Waits, dribbles out on high, waiting for the Carger screen. Instead, he'll hand for Smith. They'll run a little offense with 1:25 to go before halftime. A 19-point lead for the Orioles, their largest of the game.
Osseo in no particular hurry now at this point. Remember, it was 14. That one's poked away, and they're going to say that's an offensive foul, moving screen there against Carger, and so Carger will pick up the foul on the play. Obviously, it's an offensive foul, so no free throws coming here, but remember, it was 14 points. We thought maybe if they could get within 10 Spring Lake Park, they'd be in good spot. Since then, they've given up a 5-0 run, and it's a 19-point game right now.
Thompson trying to run some offense with 1 minute left before halftime. Logan Kinsey Relatively quiet in this first half. Tough fadeaway shot, and he hits.
Really tough fadeaway shot there by Logan Kinsey, but he's able to get it to drop. 30 points now for Spring Lake Park.
Kinsey up to 7 in this first half. 35 seconds before halftime. I think they'll probably just hold for one shot as Carger backs it out with 25 to go. 47-30 our score. Carger hands for Waits, top of the key. He gets a step, tough shot, and it's swatted out of bounds by Will Kinsey. Kind of had an off-balance fall-away shot, and Kinsey was close enough to him to use those long arms to knock it out of play.
Good recovery by Spring Lake Park. The Orioles did a really nice job of spacing that floor out. There was a lot of ground that was wide open underneath, and Spring Lake Park's defense was able to close up.
11 seconds, Carger picks up the dribble. Waits comes back to grab it. He kicks it, 3 dialed up from the left wings, no good. Kinsey grabs the rebound with 2 left. Full court heave falls short as time expires here in the first half. Osseo leads by as many as 19. They go to the halftime break with a 47-30 lead over Spring Lake Park here in the Section 5 Quadruple A semifinals. We'll be back with first half analysis, statistics, and more here from Osseo in a moment. Panthers trail it by 17 in the break here on North Metro TV.
I'll be seeing you.
No, the thing I've missed the most during this entire time, this pandemic, has been you.
I love playing to a live audience. There's nothing like it.
The COVID-19 vaccines are going to help us all get back to the moments we miss.
It's totally normal to have questions. I did too.
That's why it's so important to get informed.
So ask your doctor and get the facts. It's up to you.
Back in here at Osseo High School at halftime. Spring Lake Park trails the Orioles 47-30. And they're gonna have some work to do in the second half, Nick. Peyton Thompson was the star of the first half for Spring Lake Park with 15. He scored 13 of the Panthers' first 16 points. But after that, they really struggled to find offense as Osseo kind of pulled away.
Yeah, 15 points in the first half for Peyton Thompson, but nobody else with more than 5 points. We talked about it in the pregame. It's a pretty simple equation. You got to find second and third options. Usually Logan Kinsey is that second option. He hasn't been as effective out there, just 5 points in the first half. So really they've got one option offensively, and that's why they're in this position. They're down by 17. They're just not finding second and third options for this offense, and that's what they need to get back into it in the second half.
As we look at first half highlights, 6 3-pointers drained by Osseo in that first half. 5 of them by that man right there, Bernardo Moria. He had 15 on the strength of those 5 3-pointers, and really a lot of defensive issues as well. Tyrese Waits living in the passing lanes. He had a couple dunks and had 13, as you see right there. Just opportunistic.
Well, and you talk about the turnovers, 9 of them for Spring Lake Park, but you can see these are forced errors here by the Osseo Orioles. They're really doing a nice job of keeping Spring Lake Park off balance. You see Thompson there. He's doing his best to try and keep things in, but this offense for Osseo has just been really opportunistic here in the first half.
Blythe Whaley is courtside. Blythe, go ahead.
Courtside here with Peyton Thompson, and you had 15 points in the first half, so definitely leading the team. But the biggest thing I want to ask you is, what is Grant Guzzi saying at the halftime talk? How do you guys get back into this game?
We just got to pick it up on defense, run what we've been practicing, and we should be good to go.
Okay, good luck to you, Peyton. Definitely a good start for you, though.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We thank Peyton Thompson for joining us during the halftime break, as he had a very good start to this game. Couple three-pointers, free from the free throw line in those 15 points, as you said. But yeah, just some of the players looking a little tentative out there, especially offensively with the ball in their hands, kind of sped up by this athletic Osseo defense.
Yeah, this Osseo, well, both offense and defense, they have just been overwhelming this Spring Lake Park team offensively and defensively with the speed. The defense, they've been forcing turnovers on that full court press, really putting Spring Lake Park in some inadvantageous situations, and then offensively just using those abilities to get people on the outside, making people move around and finding open shots.
Panthers get the ball to start the second half as Logan Kinsey kicks it out of the lane to Ogile for three. That's off the mark. He's been cold today. Rebounded by Isaiah Johnson. Might tie him up, but it'll be a Osseo ball. So the Orioles go to work with 17:36 early second half as Waits jogs it across the timeline. Top of the key for Omoria. Johnson, who had 10 in the first half, finger rolls it in. Isaiah Johnson, his fourth field goal. He's up to 12. 3 players in double figures, and you talked about that balanced scoring, Nick. Osseo displaying that tonight.
Yeah, they're really spreading the ball around. Amoria with 15, Waits with 13, 10, make it 12 now for Johnson. So 3 in double figures for Osseo, and that makes it really difficult to match up for Spring Lake Park defensively.
Kesty forced to pick up the dribble, top of the key. Better player movement, at least early in going in this second half. It's tipped right to Amoria. He looks ahead of the field for Johnson, and Johnson has a Logan Kinsey kind of land on his neck. Hopefully he's okay. But that sprint out, Amoria had his head up and he hit Johnson ahead of the field.
Some conversation here regarding the quality of that foul. They're going to say that that is a
that was
not a shot.
Yeah, no, he didn't get that up. I thought for a second you were implying they were evaluating whether it was a flagrant, and there was definitely nothing in that.
Well, I wondered as well, but it looked like that after the conversation they kind of pointed at the floor, and so at no point was Johnson ever going up on that play, so they said it's a floor foul. And just the third turnover of the day here for Osseo.
Yeah, that's been a big story as it's knocked out of bounds. Kesty couldn't handle it on the lob in by O'Giles, so 10th turnover of the game on Spring Lake Park.
And we talked about the last time they met, Spring Lake Park with 18 turnovers, and so they're on pace for about that same. And when you're playing a talented team like Osseo, you really can't put yourself in that position.
Backdoor cut, drop for Johnson, who fights through pressure and lays it in. Isaiah Johnson's got the first 2 baskets of the second half. It's a 21-point lead for the Orioles.
Really impressive passing underneath, and now another turnover. 11 now for Spring Lake Park.
Panthers need to get some stops, and full timeout will be taken by Grant Guzzi as the second half is starting much the way the first half ended. And we'll use this opportunity to throw it down to the third member of our crew tonight, courtside, Blythe Whaley. Blythe?
Yeah, talking with both coaching staff at the halftime and Coach Guzzi telling his guys how do they play with heart, how do they get through this game, and definitely make it one that they can be proud of at the end regardless of the score. But also talking with the coaching staff of the Orioles and Coach Tyson telling his guys, continue what you did in the first half. Of course, they're up to that 17-point lead at halftime, and he said, you guys, we definitely have done some good things out there on the court, so continue those things, speeding up that play, and they want to look something. You guys keep that eye out for the points getting up to 65 to 70 because that is their goal for the Orioles in this game.
Well, they certainly seem like they're going to be capable of doing that. Obviously, 6 threes in the first half helps, but it's really been Amoria. I mean, Waits has wanted to drive the basketball. Johnson, the same thing. He's been the beneficiary on a couple dump-offs. So, and a lot of points off turnovers. Again, Waits converting a few dunks and layups off of those turnovers, just reading and jumping the passing lane. And Spring Lake Park will need to be stronger with the basketball as we're out of the timeout. Waits jogs it across the timeline. Omoria pulls up at the free throw lane. And now I wonder how patient Osseo will be with a 21-point lead here, Nick.
Well, they certainly don't want to let up on the way that they have been playing, but they have the opportunity to take a few seconds off the clock every time they have the basketball for sure, as we've got a whistle away from the basketball, and it's going to be a 3-second in the lane call against the Osseo Orioles. So that's sometimes what happens when you do get a little tentative, is you kind of forget your spacing, forget where you're at a little bit. That's an unforced error for the Osseo Orioles.
Nearly an unforced error for the Spring Lake Park Panthers. Thompson instead gets it ahead, tried the lob, and Barhaga steals it. Waits. Back for Omoria. He drives this time, tries to drop it off to Barhaga. Got a bit of sloppiness between both teams now.
That's 3 turnovers in a row between the two clubs.
Will Kinsey draws the contact. They're going to wave the basket off. I'm not sure why, but Will Kinsey does draw the personal foul on Waits. He just kind of crab dribbled through there. It certainly looked like you could have called continuation.
Well, it looked like he put his second hand back on the basketball after contact, and so that's probably what the referee saw.
Thompson trying to continue his hot streak. Logan Kinsey skying for the rebound and lays it back in. He just has no quit, that kid.
No, and that's exactly what Spring Lake Park's going to need in the second half. They can't possibly quit at any point in this game if they have any chance to get back into it.
Smith watched by Thompson. They love to spread the floor, does Osseo, and allow their quick guards to penetrate. Nojile commits a silly foul out high. Second personal on Nick. You just need to look at him once to know that kid's probably a good football player.
I was just thinking the same thing as we were watching him walk around on the replay. And he'll pick up another one.
Barhaga loves to sort of set that high ball screen at the top and kind of flip around, as you'll have Freddie Anthony take Ogile's place with 3 now on Nick Ogile.
And I was watching Grant Guzzi as that third foul was called, and you could just see his shoulders kind of slump a little bit. It's like, oh man, that's 2 in a row right away for Ogile there.
Grant Guzzi, 422 wins in his illustrious career, as Waits in and out with the layup. Will Kinsey manages to grab the rebound. But it's going to be some work for him to get win number 423. Thompson wanted it back. Instead, they go on the block to Logan Kinsey. Again, dropping on the block against the skinnier Smith, and he draws the foul. Smith about the same height as Logan Kinsey, but Kinsey a couple of years older and a little more physically mature, and he takes advantage there. He'll go to the line to shoot 2. Logan Kinsey, as we said, averaging 19.5 a game and 10.3 rebounds. He and his brother play their basketball next season at Minnesota State Moorhead. He is such a quick leaper, too. He just skies for those rebounds off the floor. Part of the reason why he's so active and gets so many offensive rebounds. And a dumb foul. Not a foul, I should say, but Waits commits the turnover. I'm not sure, he's kind of gesturing toward Barhaga. But already Osseo a little sloppier in this second half than they were in the first half.
Yeah, they had 3 turnovers total in the first half, already 3 here in the second half. So a little bit careless. Sometimes that happens when you get such a big lead early in the game.
Thompson, as they try to rake in on him driving. And this time they do steal it. Out ahead of the pack. Waits underneath for Dukowitz. And it's Owen Dukowitz, the 6'3 senior, gets his first basket of this section semifinal.
It's just the transition speed of Osseo. When they force that turnover, they are on the run. They have a purpose. They know exactly what the plan is getting down the court.
Bounce pass for Peyton Thompson. Thompson takes the bump from Waits, pulls up in the lane, and gets it to go. He's pretty quick off the deck himself, and he's up to 17 to lead the Panthers. Only Panther in double figures tonight.
And he's had to work for a lot of them. That was a tough shot. Good defense there by Osseo, right in his face, but he was able to get it to go.
Moria a little short on that three-point attempt. One of the rare misses he's had from beyond the arc. They get the offensive rebound, and the Orioles will go back to work. Both teams very veteran and very familiar with one another. Osseo has won 4 straight over Spring Lake Park, dating back to 2 seasons ago. Will Kinsey rips that one away, and Thompson pushes ahead. Pulls up at the free throw lane and gets it to go. Peyton Thompson, a couple straight mid-range jumpers for the senior guard, and it's back to a 15-point lead.
6-2 run here to start tightening this up. You can't get them all back in one. There's not a 20-point shot. Can't remember what the old show on MTV was where you get a 25-point shot, but you can't get them all at once, so you got to chip away.
Stop, score, stop, right? That's what they say. They've forced a few more turnovers and gotten a few more stops here in this second half. Barhaga, who seems very content with his role as a screener up top.
Yep.
That's part of a team's success, right? Understanding everyone's individual roles.
And look at what's under the basket. There's nothing under the basket right now. It's very wide open. That allows those guards and the forwards to create like that. And defense was really good there for Spring Lake Park.
Freddie Anthony down low for Kinsey, drops it to his brother, and it goes out of bounds, but I believe they're going to get a foul call.
They're going to say this is a shooting foul here, and so they're going to send Logan Kinsey to the line here for a pair and make it a 13-point game here. Still a lot of time left, over 11 minutes to go.
You know, the Panthers are, if nothing else, trying to cut it to that magical 12. But Logan Kinsey rattles home the first free throw. He's got 10. Second SLP player in double figures. And a free throw here would cut it to a 13-point lead. He's kind of gone 1 for 2 all night as he misses the back end, left it short. So it's a 53-49 or 53-39 deficit for Spring Lake Park. Dukowitz loses his balance, tries to go out to Waits. It's knocked out of bounds.
Close call there. They'll say it was last touched by Will Kinsey, who must have just gotten a finger on it.
You know one thing for sure with a Grant Guzzi coach team is these guys are going to fight to the bitter end. Effort never an issue in this program. But yeah, between Tim Tyson and Grant Guzzi, you have some great alliteration and some legendary coaches. Nice move by Carger. He's got 4.
It was a tremendous move underneath the basket, the reverse layup to make it a 16-point game again. Every basket is degrading here for Spring Lake Park, so they need to answer.
Logan Kinsey drags his foot in the lane and gets called for the 5th turnover of the second half on Spring Lake Park.
And that was not the answer I was looking for Spring Lake Park. 14th overall turnover in the game for the Panthers.
But a lot of senior leadership on both these teams. Moria, Waits, Barhaga, Dukowitz. They want to travel. Instead, Osseo calls a timeout. Grant Guzzi displeased that a travel wasn't called before the timeout was granted. 2 versus the 6th seed. Nothing is official yet, but we presume that Park Center the #1 ranked Pirates will likely face whoever wins tonight in the section final at Rogers.
Yeah, and Park Center, obviously one of the top teams in the state. As we take a look at this replay again, as the ball, he was rolling around on the floor. That's what Grant Guzzi saw, and that's what he wanted on the foul call, or on the turnover.
And we'll throw it down to Blythe on the sidelines. Blythe?
As you can tell, things are getting heated in this gym as we get further into this game. But one of the things that Coach Guzzi was telling his guys is that making sure that they're not leaving Peyton on an island in the inbounds. They've done a lot better job with that in the second half, coming back to help him inbound that basketball. And as far as the Orioles, they've been talking about how do they keep this pressure up, and we're going to see them coming out, continuing to fight even though they have this big lead.
Yeah, I mean, certainly they need more guys coming to the ball on that full court pressure. It'll be Orioles ball out of bounds to re-enter things inside of 10 minutes to go, second half. Omoria out for Carger. Carger gets the step on Bo Johnson. That's a tough matchup for Bo Johnson to stay with the speedy 6'4" senior.
That's just almost impossible to stop when he starts going downhill like that.
Thompson holds out high, and now they're trying to do a little of what Osseo's doing, which is spread the floor and get some driving lanes for their guards. Will Kinsey will go to work on Dukowitz. Thompson tries to cross over, and Waits picks his pocket. Tyrese Waits into the front court, lays it in.
And another 6-0 run here for Osseo to make this a 20-point game, and things have kind of gone backwards here for Osseo, or rather for Spring Lake Park, since they pulled this to within 13.
Thompson with a soft touch to get the floater. Logan Kinsey, I was just about to say, they need him to start asserting himself offensively in this game. 10 points, and most of them have come at the foul line. Peyton Thompson now up to 21 to lead all scorers. Tyrese Waits, bumped from behind by Anthony. They count the basket, and Waits will get a free throw as well. And that was such a savvy play by Waits, because he knew he had beaten Anthony. He knew he had him on his hip, and he sort of stopped short. And Anthony couldn't control his momentum, knocked him from behind, and drew the foul. That's just a smart play by a veteran senior.
Yeah, really smart play, and we've seen a lot of smart plays from Waits so far today, as he has had really an impressive game. Waits now with 17 points in the game to lead all scorers.
Unofficially 15 or five steals as well, as Will Kinsey rather gets the layup on the other end. Pace picking up from this game, and a dunk underneath. Johnson gets the lob, and the Osseo fans starting to feel it, up by 20 with 8:11 to go.
Yeah, it's just the speed. The overall speed of Osseo is just something that Spring Lake Park is not able to handle right now.
O'Giles using the physical screen from Will Kinsey, and now the two players go down in the lane. So we'll see who they get this foul on, if it's going to be Carger or Kinsey. And it is going to be Carger trying to box out. Omoria with 15, Waits with 17, Johnson with 16 now. So the three guys that we highlighted, that balanced scoring, it's played out that way here in this game.
And Carger, who's coming back after a long time being out, he's got 6 on his way to double figures as well. He's the 4th player that has averaged double figures this season.
Thompson up to 8 in this second half, 23 for the game. Now they'll try to force a turnover. Vincent down low, and again Grant Guzzi wants to travel as Vincent was rolling around on the floor. Instead, they're going to get a foul on, I believe, Will Kinsey. Will Kinsey, his 3rd. I thought he maybe had 3, but certainly the Spring Lake Park fans, as you see Grant Guzzi frustrated by that. On the scoreboard it says 3. I thought maybe he had 4, but
I've got him for 4 as well. So I missed something, or somebody else missed something. That's oh, they're going to call him. Yeah, they called the timeout. Really nice play there to call the timeout by Logan Kinsey. Intercepts the pass and calls the timeout in midair. That's not allowed in a lot of forums, but they give him timeout here.
And I think maybe why it was is because he was dragging that toe. So he did have a toe down, I think, when he called that timeout, but they immediately pointed. And they got him the timeout. As you see, Grant Guzzi talking to his team. They trail by 18. They cut it down to as little as 12. But certainly just one timeout left here in the second half.
Well, and you can see he's still coaching with emotion in there, and you got to wonder what is going through his head right now. Obviously, we've got some 7:35 to go in this one, and we've talked about Tim Tyson, the coaching job he's done over the years, 20 years. He's been fantastic. A state championship under his belt. He won one in 2012, and he's been there a couple of times in the championship game. Has done a marvelous job over his time here in Osseo. But the difference between the two, obviously, is Grant Guzzi. This could be it. This could be the end, and he's staring an 18-point deficit in the face right now. And so he knows that this is kind of the last time for him if he can't get his guys going here in the last 7.5 minutes. You know, this is his last chance to, you know, he's kind of the senior. You know, it's senior night for him, too. He probably doesn't want to hear that terminology, I guess, but he's the senior. This is it for him. And so, you know, he's going to work this till the end if he can.
No, it's a great point for by you, Nick, as Grant Guzzi probably trying not to think about it, and they'll call the charge. The ref kind of delayed, he sort of hesitated, or no, yep, no, they are calling Thompson for lowering the shoulder. Not a real decisive charge call, but
that was one where he looked at the other guy to make sure they were in agreement before he called it. I think it probably was the right call, but they were conferring to make sure that they had the same. Whoa, that's a lot of steps.
I thought Carger was going to lob it to Johnson, who was waiting on the weak side and looking at him, but he decided to try to take it himself, and he turned it over.
I think that might have been his plan at first, too, and then when he realized he had Nick Ogile in his way, and he went, you know what, I've just got to keep going here.
Yeah, I wonder if Nick has seen the Euro step.
Well, that's the Euro and that's the whole Euro step, like all the way across Europe.
After the turnover, and Carger tries to block Thompson at the summit and commits the foul instead. But yeah, certainly every time Osseo gets on the ground with that basketball, they seem to be rolling with it. And that was a physical challenge as Thompson unafraid to attack the middle of the paint. I mean, he obviously likes a deep three, but right now he's in full attack mode as the senior steps to the line in what could be his last game in a Panthers uniform.
Well, and that happens sometimes too. You get a lead like this as we start to get into the waning minutes, and you know, you're trying to make that statement, you know, whether it's a dunk or a big block, you start taking those chances as the game goes on where you feel like things are more well in hand. A nice play there by Kinsey getting the offensive board, and he'll get to go to the line, but that's what happens. You start getting a little more aggressive, just like in football, like in 3rd and long, where you get those defensive ends that kind of pin their ears back, headed for the quarterback. Same thing here. You get towards the end of the game, and those times when you're going to go straight up with the block, you start swatting, and you want to make those impressive plays for the student section and your fans out there.
Carger, meanwhile, will sit with 4 fouls, so he's not played a ton of minutes tonight, but he's making the most of them. 63-47 our score, inside of 7 minutes to go in the game. Johnson, the lob for Smith, who catches it and lays it in. I think a better lob might have resulted in a dunk, but Osseo having no difficulties having no trouble beating the Spring Lake Park press.
Yeah, it's just the speed on both ends of the court. Osseo has been able to get down the court quickly, setting up those lob type plays, and then on defense, just doesn't seem like there's any room to operate. Give credit to the Panthers for the scoring that they've been able to get, but they've had to work hard for tonight.
It's been hard earned. As Vincent kind of escorted to the basket, and he lays it in for his first points of the night. But you look at guys like Vincent and Dukowitz and Barhaga, 8 seniors on this Osseo team. And that's after they lost their highly recruited Gophers recruit Josh Ola Joseph, transferred to a prep school in Napa Valley before the season. Logan Kinsey splits defenders and lays it in, and now the two teams seem like they're just trading baskets. An 18-point lead for Osseo. Johnson drops it off for Vincent. Smith is there. Logan Kinsey blocks it out of bounds.
Yeah, and that tells you the depth that Osseo has had when you lose a Big Ten caliber player like Ola Joseph, and then you still are able to put up some pretty impressive numbers. I mean, throughout the season, 19-3 in their last 22. They've only lost once to Totino Grace, twice to Park Center, and both of those teams are maybe considered 2 of the top teams in the state overall. Totino Grace has been maybe considered to be the best overall team in the state, regardless of class, and Park Center is right there as well.
Long 3 from the left wing for Thompson, no good. Moria grabs the rebound. Yep. Totino Grace, number 1 in Class 3A for much of the season. Moria with a left hand draws the foul on Anthony. And Park Center has been number 1. That's been shocking me for really the entire season. Osseo finishing 3rd in the Northwest Suburban Conference behind Park Center, who won it, and behind Totino Grace. They split with Totino Grace and were swept by Park Center. They also lost to Edina. But yeah, 21-6 coming in. Another 20-win season for Coach Tim Tyson, Augsburg College Hall of Famer.
And if this game holds, of course, it would be potentially Park Center versus Osseo, and that's a matchup that has not been favorable to Osseo this year. They lost 64-49 back on January 7th. And then in the turnaround game on February 7th, this one was at Park Center. Osseo again lost by 19-57, or 76-57, I should say. A 19-point game. I got it right the first time. So 15 and a 19-point loss, and that tells you how good Park Center is. They were just really impressive all season long, but specifically against Osseo as well.
Yeah, Park Center does that to a lot of teams. Very few can match up with their size and athleticism. And Osseo has the athleticism. They just don't necessarily have the size. They've got a couple big guys in Barhaga, 6'5" Johnson, 6'6" at Smith, but really led by their tandem of guards in Amoria and Waits. Barhaga misses it underneath. He ties up with Will Kinsey. And the possession arrow will give it to Spring Lake Park. Panthers trail it by 22 with 4:24 to go. Osseo continuing to pick up full court. As you see the battle underneath, neither player giving an inch. Largest deficit of the game for Spring Lake Park. Vincent all up in Thompson's jersey. Lake Park is just, that pressure defense has really seemed to make the Panthers uncomfortable, and just as I say that, they commit the turnover. Kesty and Ogile not on the same page. Whereas Osseo is beating that pressure with ease, just kind of passing around it and over it. Lob underneath for Smith. Decides to catch it out. Omoria wants a corner 3, no good. Smith there for the tip.
Yeah, and with every bucket, it becomes more and more apparent that this just isn't going to be the night for Spring Lake Park, as 3.5 minutes run back down, and Osseo continues to keep the Jets on.
Eight skies for that rebound. And every basket adds to the largest lead of the game for the Orioles, as they will start to clear the bench here. Orioles will improve to 22-6 on the season and earn a rematch with the most likely the Park Center Pirates in the section title game. Moria with a little hesitation dribble, can't finish. Up ahead for Will Kinsey. He tries to walk his way through, and the charge is called. So Tyrese waits, and what may be his final act tonight draws the charge on Will Kinsey. Kinsey picks up his fourth. And we'll see how the Panthers and Grant Guzzi play this one. I have to imagine they'll finish with seniors. Peyton Thompson with 24. They may try to get Thompson a nice round of applause at the very end. We'll see. 2:56 to go.
Does look like it will be Park Center, although Mounds View is giving Park Center a little bit of trouble. 3:48 to go in the last check that we had. 65-57 in favor of Park Center, but it was within about 5 points with about 6 minutes to go. It looks like Park Center starting to pull away, but still plenty of time left.
Closer than many people might have thought. Mounds View gave Eastridge a couple good games this year, so Mustangs certainly capable. Spring Lake Park actually blew the Mustangs out in their first game of the season. Kesty just rips it away. Thompson into the front court, pulls up at the free throw line. Off the mark, but Logan Kinsey is there to flush it home.
We talked about those moments. Logan Kinsey doesn't have many moments in the high school realm left, and so take advantage of it. If you can fly in there and flush one, you're going to do it here late in the game.
What an exclamation point that would be on a fine career if that's the final basket of Logan Kinsey's senior season. Up ahead for Will Kinsey, and he dunks it.
Anything you can do, I can do at least as well.
20-point lead for the Orioles with $1:30 remaining in the game. Panthers battled injuries and COVID all season. Peyton Thompson pressuring out high. Three-pointer from the corner for Vincent is good. They just keep pouring down. Osseo threatening to break 80 here. We've got 1 minute to go in the illustrious career of Grant Guzzi. And they want a substitution timeout and a well-deserved standing ovation here at Osseo for a fine senior class. The Kinsey brothers, Peyton Thompson.
You see the crowd giving them a good round of applause, and of course this is the final minute, as we've been talking about, for Grant Guzzi as well. He gets part of that ovation as well, I'm sure.
A lot of hugs to go around for Grant Guzzi at the end. And a couple of players set to check in as Bo Johnson gets the two. 40 seconds remaining in the Panthers season. Substitution timeout as Osseo fans cheering for a couple of their guys, including Alvin Jones, Amon Marara, among others. So everyone's seeing minutes here in the section semifinal. 76-55. Osseo led by as many as 24 tonight. Really, they pulled away late first half, and that's where this game got out of hand. A 17-point lead at halftime. Jump ball, I think, will keep it down with the Orioles.
In these final seconds for Grant Guzzi, I can't help but think of 2 years ago when the season ended abruptly during the section tournament. He had a team that was 21 and 22 and 5, I believe. They had Blake Remy, Gabe Myron, a couple of 1,000-point scores. That team very likely could have been a state tournament team. They were going to play in a section final against Chaplin Park, and so I always felt bad for him at the end of that season. That was a team that I thought could have made a run in the state tournament. Kind of got robbed from him at the end, and now 2 years later, his season and the career winds down.
Final horn sounds. Spring Lake Park falls in this one by 21, 76-55, thus ending the career of Logan Kinsey, Jackson Weir, Peyton Thompson, Will Kinsey, Nick O'Giles, Stephen Kesty, and others on this Panthers team. And Grant Guzzi, he finishes his illustrious 30-year career in charge of the Panthers program a program he led with so much class and integrity. He finishes with 422 wins. Nick, just your final thoughts on the Spring Lake Park Panthers season and on head coach Grant Guzzi as he exits the program with his head held high.
You know, it wasn't the season that they wanted, 11-17 on the season. Obviously, you want to go out with those 21-5 type seasons that they had a couple of years before that I referenced. But, you know, 30 years, I think that might be the more impressive. You talk about the wins, you talk about the great teams that they've had. You know, we're not going to see coaches last as long as Tim Tyson or Grant Guzzi anymore. There's just too much pressure. There's too many unnecessary evils, we'll say, I guess, that are kind of within sports programs. And give credit to the guys that have created a career, created a lifetime of this. And obviously, Grant Guzzi would have loved this to continue a few more games, obviously. But as he walks out of the gym for the final time, you know, we're just not going to see that type of coach very often again. I won't say that it'll never happen, but you're just not going to see that very often. And so a lot of credit to the Grant Guzzis of the world.
Yeah, a rarity for sure, but we certainly tip our cap. And he's provided us with many fine memories here at North Metro TV over the years. So as Grant Guzzi rides off into the sunset, not the way he would have liked it to finish, but certainly nothing to be ashamed of. 422 career wins in his illustrious career at Spring Lake Park. So that'll do it here for us at Osseo. Thanks to Director Ted LaRue and our entire North Metro crew here tonight. For my broadcast partner, Nick Walsh, I'm Bill Hupp saying good night from Osseo, where Spring Lake Park's season ends in the Section 5 semifinals with a 76-55 loss to the second-seeded Orioles. This has been high school playoff basketball from North Metro TV.